life processes, how this life process is going to be important. And here we are going to see different way how you are going to recognize that some organisms are alive or not, as well as you will see that what is the different types of the way of nutrition and how these organisms are going to do their maintenance and how this nutrition is going to help, as well as in this chapter we have discussion how different organisms have different way for the nutrition that we are going to see. And later we'll have about uh, like transportation, that how cells are getting energy, and later we have excretions, so after digestive food how it is going to come out from the body. So this chapter we are going to see might be in three different lectures. Okay, so first part will cover that up to nutrition, second will be transportation, and the third will be about this excretion process. So that maybe three sections will be there. So still, if you didn't subscribe our channel, please subscribe it and share with your friends. Okay. This is going to be very, very important for the examination point of view as well as for your concept. Okay. So let's start the life processes. So now here, suppose sometimes if you see that some animals are sleeping, even human beings, we feel asleep. So then how we are going to recognize that person is alive or not? So sometimes you can recognize by the help of breathing. Sometimes in different organisms, you can see by their growth. Okay. Or some substance like plant is green, that leaves are growing, and some having different colors. So for the with the help of different movement and with the help of their growth, we are able to recognize that plants or animals are alive. But sometimes maybe it's not visible from the outside, like some breathing, maybe it's not visible from the outside. Then how we are going to recognize that organisms are alive? So those all these things we are going to see here with the help of some activities. And we have some organisms that have unit cells, some having multi cells, like we have amoeba, and we are human beings. So animals having amoeba having unicells. So again, how they are going to obtain their nutrition, that we are going to see. Okay. So finally here again we have discussion, what are life processes. So life के लिए क्या क्या प्रोसेस है, कैसे हम लोग like we are doing our day by day routine. So how we are able to do that routine, how what is the process, कैसे हम लोग को एनर्जी मिलता है, कहाँ से एनर्जी मिलता है, फिर when we intake the food from there up to digestion, how digestion will takes place. So that all things we are going to see one by one. First we'll see about the plant, then we'll see about the even animals. Okay, that is the human beings. So अपना सारा काम करने के लिए body required the maintenance job. Okay, or cell required the nutrition. So the process altogether which perform the maintenance job is called as the life process. So this process may includes about respiration, about this digestion, about transportation, where we are talking again importance of the human heart, again about the excretion, that the food part which is not being utilized by the body or by the organisms, how it is going to come out from the cells or by the body. So what is requirement of the maintenance? Okay, so that maintenance required to prevent any damage or any breakdown. Okay, or breakdown takes place, for that repairing is required, for that again energy is required from the outsides. So each and every individual organisms have different way to obtain the energy from the outsource. Okay, so some having so this way to getting the energy and which is going to reach to the cell, that is called as generally nutrition. So in the earlier class or even in the lower class, you might have seen the importance of the nutrition, might have seen about the balanced nutrition. And there will be various components, carbohydrate, proteins, minerals, vitamins, how all those things are going to help to build the human structures, or how it is going to be useful for the body buildings and for the protection, for the immune system. Okay, so those things are being seen here. So organism having different body size, so the requirement is also different. So they're having different growth. They require some additional raw materials, okay, from the outsides. So that many life on the earth is based upon the carbon-based molecules, and this type of the organisms will have food from the carbon based. And sometimes when we are going to depend upon the complexity of the carbon sources, then finally we have requirement of the different nutrition process. So if you are going to obtain the nutrition from the inorganic substance, that is easy. But in case of organic substance, it have some complex process. Okay. Any doubt is there? You can write in the comments box. Okay. समझ में आ रहा? So that environment is not under our control, and even that living organisms, individual organisms, not able to control. So that's why some organisms break the source of energy what we are going to take. It will break outside the body, and it again converted into the energy, or we are going to take the food, and after that this breaking process will takes place. Okay, so like when we are going to break the foods or even by any organisms, so that might be chemical reaction takes place, like in case of chemistry we are talking about oxidizing and reduction parts. So that oxidation reductions, that all chemical change is going to occur here also. Okay, so for that, for the some organisms, we require more amount of the oxygen. So that in that case, whatever oxygen we are going to acquire by the diffusion process, that is not sufficient. But in case of like unicells, amoeba and all, or single cell organisms, so that oxygen is requirement is fulfilled by the diffusion process. But in case of like our human bodies, where we have multicellular organisms, so that direct contact what we are getting oxygen through the cell, some animals, some organisms, that is not sufficient. That's why we human beings having separate process for that, that is called as the respiration. So those are things are the discussion here, how we are going to obtain the oxygens, and again how these oxygens are going to reach to the various cells. So that we'll see in case of transportation. Okay. So this chemical reaction, what is going to occurs? So like if you see that in case of plant, how this plant is going to make the food, and after whatever things we have to obtain from this nutrition, we can obtain. And some substance are the useless. Okay. Or it can be harmful also to the organism. So that's why that waste products must be removed from the body and it should be discarded. So that process is called as the excretion. So that excretion process, again, we'll have separate topic that we'll see in much details. So what is the basic rules of the human bodies in case of multicellular organisms? So like we have a smallest unit is cell, from cell it is form the tissue, from tissue is going to form the organ, from the organ is going to form the organisms. So that's why development takes place. So sometimes system may be complex, that depend upon the organism to organization. So for that, we have again transportation system, and again for the remove the waste, we have excretory tissue is available. So here, if you see that this question, you will be capable to solve. Okay. If you are not able to solve, anyhow, later some other lecture will come. Later series is going to come. In that we'll discuss exercise question as well as previous year questions. Okay. So now finally, main important thing is here nutrition. So why nutrition is important? Okay, that we have seen, like for the maintenance of the body, that nutrition is very important. So this mainly you see that later this nutrition is going to be divided into two parts. One is called as the autotrophs, another is called as the heterotrophics. So in case of autotrophics, those organisms, if you see that their way of getting the food is simple, so they are going to get the food from the inorganic sources in the form of carbon dioxide and the water. So that is in case of autotrophs. But other having some complex structures where enzymes are going to help, that is going to help work as the catalyst for the digestion of the foods. So that finally, if you see that heterotrophic depends directly or indirectly on the autotrophs. So some organisms like animals and fungi that are having heterotrophic organisms. So later we have now here about autotrophic nutrition. So in case of autotrophic nutrition here, so we'll see that how plants are going to make their food. So by the help of carbon and energy requirements of this autotrophic organisms are fulfilled by the photosynthesis process. So in the plant, photosynthesis process takes place. So for the photosynthesis, what is important here? Carbon dioxide and water, these two are the important here. So plants are going to get the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, whereas water they're getting through the root. So so finally, when this photosynthesis process takes place, so that is going being converted into the form of carbohydrate, and here sunlight and chlorophyll is going to act as the catalyst. So plants will not able to make the food unless there is the presence of chlorophyll as well as sunlight. So the carbohydrates which is not being utilized, so finally again it will be converted into the starch. So that can be utilized later for the internal energy. So, okay. So like in case of human body, so when we have more intake and if it is not being utilized by the human body, then it is being stored in the form of glycogen, or sometimes simply we call it is stored in the form of fat. Okay. So mainly it is being stored in the form of glycogen that is being utilized later when we are hungry, when we are not able to take the food. Okay. Now here you will see that we have photosynthesis process. So this is the carbon dioxide and waters. So in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight, so that's also we can call as the catalyst. Okay. What is this catalyst? So इससे क्या बना यहाँ पर glucose C6H12O6. This formula we need to remember. And finally, if you see that water is broken into the hydrogen and oxygen molecules also. So that product having glucose, oxygen and water. So क्या mainly क्या process हुआ यहाँ पर? Absorption of light energy by the chlorophyll. Since plant leaf में क्या है? Chlorophyll. Without chlorophyll, it will not able to make the food. That means photosynthesis process नहीं होगा. Next, some chemical reaction takes place here. So that light energy किस चीज में convert हुआ? Chemical energy. And splitting of this water molecules also takes place in hydrogen and oxygen. And reduction of the carbon dioxide takes place, that will be reduced to the carbohydrates. So here, earlier we have in the chapter 1, we have discussion about oxidation and reduction. So that removal of the oxygen is called as the reduction. So from the carbon dioxide, oxygen is removed. So that's the reduction of carbon dioxide takes place here. So that is converted here in the, that is the glucose or carbohydrates. So oxidation, reduction, that chemical change is going to occur. But sometimes you see that maybe these three process will not take simultaneously or not immediate after each other. Okay. Like for example, if you see the desert plant, so that desert plant is going to take the carbon dioxide at night, and again that is going to prepare their food. Okay, so that energy which is absorbed by the chlorophyll during the daytime. So energy is absorbed in the presence of sunlight in the daytime, whereas plant is going to get carbon dioxide when at night time, but still they are able to make the food. So that's why it's not necessary that क्या ये तीनों प्रोसेस एक साथ में होगा और इमीडिएट होगा. ओके, एक डे में हो रहा है, एक नाइट में भी हो रहा है, वेयर इन द डेजर्ट प्लांट्स. So what are the exceptional things? We should concentrate more on that. So this question, may they will ask, or they used to ask, what are the different steps in the photosynthesis takes place? Okay, that things we have to see. And this, if you see the left side, we have cross section of the leaf. Might have similar things you have seen in the class 9 also. तो यहाँ पे क्या क्या important parts है? What are the important portions? If you see that here you have a lower epidermis and here you have upper epidermis, and this shows the chloroplast. Again, here we have air space, and this is the guard cell. So later we are going to see how this guard cell is important for the opening and closing of the pores to obtain the carbon dioxide. And this structure, you'll see that here we have phloem, phloem and xylem. So xylem is used to carry the minerals or water from the root to the stem, whereas the phloem is going to help to distribute the prepared food by the leaf to the different part of this plant. Okay, so here we have vascular bundles, and finally this has the midribs. On this we have see the different branches inside the leaf. And again, in between, we have lamina or leaf blade. And this portion is the vein. So this cross-sectional view of the leaf, you should capable to recognize. Sometimes maybe MC question also will come on the basis of this diagram. अब तो कोई doubt है, you can write in the comment box. Okay. I hope you'll able to understand this once you see. Okay. And I'm not putting any masala here, like in other people, they talk more about masala items, babua, this, that. I'm directly concentrating here how you can cover your syllabus in the less time. And later when we'll see the separate time for the section wise, like a small topic. So if have some different way to take the class. So finally here we have cross section. So in that, if you see that, that is the green dots. So these green dots are the cell organelles, and this cell organelles where we have green dots is called as the chloroplast, and this chloroplast having chlorophyll. Okay, so now we have some activity where we are going to see how this chlorophyll is the essential for the photosynthesis. And later we'll have one activity in that we are going to see how carbon dioxide is important for the photosynthesis. Later you can prepare some one activity where you can see how sunlight is important for the photosynthesis. Okay, so this activity is about how chloroplast is important. So what they have done here, so they have taken two different, or you can say that for the same plants, we can take two different leaves. That leaves taken from the money plant or crotons that you used to see in the day-to-day life, even in home or in the garden. So those plants are kept in the dark room for the 3 days. So why they kept in the dark room? So that all carbohydrate which was converted in the starch, that starch will be used by the plants. Okay. Now again they are going to keep plant in the sunlight about the 6 hours. And now they're in the plant only. Okay. Now they're going to plug the leaf from the plant. So up to this we have plant. Now from the plant we are going to plug the leaf. and which portion is looking green. That green area is being traced here on the sheet of paper. Again, we are going to dip this leaf in the boiling water for a few minutes so that here this purpose of this boiling of this all means about how this chlorophyll is going to disappear, or how this chlorophyll is going to break into small elements. Again, you are seeing that it is being immersed in the beaker containing alcohols. Again, that purpose is to remove the chlorophyll completely. And now this going to place this beaker in the water bath directly. We are not going to heat. Okay, so that beaker having alcohol in that leaf is there. Now that is being heated here. Okay, like boiling water is there, in that beaker is placed. So we are boiling till that alcohol is going to begins to boil. So that's why it is going to remove the alcohol from the, sorry, chlorophyll from there. So that plant leaf is going to change, color is going to change. Okay. So since chlorophyll, this plant leaf is green due to chlorophyll, so now this alcohol is going to remove that, going to make some reactions, and is going to remove that green part. Now finally, they're going to dip the leaf in the dilute solution of the iodine. So this iodine is used for the starch test. Okay. So now leaf is again taken out and rinsed off the iodine solution. So finally, what we are going to see here that so wherever there was the presence of a starch, so that area is converted into bluish color. So this green color was for the starch. Okay, that was traced on the paper. So finally, after the reaction, means after the iodine test, so this wherever a starch was there, that green part is converted into the blue part. So this is going to show that as chlorophyll is important for the photosynthesis, and remaining part doesn't have a starch. Okay, so these are parts like here doesn't have a starch. Okay, so it shows that chlorophyll is important to make the food by the plant. Now here we have discussion about how plants are going to get the carbon dioxide uh, for the photosynthesis process. Any doubt is there? So again, if you see that in the right side, that open and closing of main thing is here, stomatal pore. How this opening and closing of stomatal pore takes place, that we are going to see how this guard cell is going to help. Okay, again, chloroplast is shown here. So this having this structure, if you see, might you have seen again in the class 9 previous class. Okay, so here it is given that we have teeny pores in the presence of the surface of the lips. Like in our skin also we have pores near the hair, or some teeny pores without hair also. So how this exchange of the gases takes place. So gas means mainly here we have talking about the carbon dioxide, which is required for the photosynthesis. So, but sometimes when there is an exchange of the gases, so if pore will be open for the long time, so again it is going to lose the water molecules also. So that's why opening and closing of stomata is important. So exchange of the gas occurs across the surface of the stem, roots, and leaves also, but mainly due to this, in case of leaf surface, we are talking about that stomata. So water can be lost through the stomata. Okay. So that's why plant wants to close these pores when they are not going to take the carbon dioxide for the photosynthesis. So this opening and closing of this pore is being done with the help of guard cell. Like in the, if you're going to school, we have security guard in the entrance. They used to open and close that gate. Or sometimes you have electronics. Now it is time of AI, so we have automatic opening and closing. So that is the, here in case of plant, we have guard cell that is going to help in opening and closing of the pore of the leaf. So when guard cells is going to swell, when water flows into them and causing the stomata pore to open. Similarly, the pore is going to close if guard cell is going to shrink. So when guard cell will be having swelling, so it's having flow of water, and finally stomata pore will be open. So there will be exchange of the gas or carbon dioxide will takes place. And similarly, again pore will be closed, then guard is going to shrink. So this opening, if guard is open, exchange of gas. If guard is closed, exchange of the gas will be stopped. So that what I've seen here, what is the stomata? That is the pore in the lips, and how this stomata is being controlled with the help of guard cell. That is the opening and closing. Now we are going to see the activity here, how we are going to see that how carbon dioxide is important for the photosynthesis. So now here if you observe that two healthy plants is taken of the same size, almost same things, and they keep in dark room for 3 days. So why they are kept in the dark room means they are not going to get the sunlight. Okay. And now this and whatever stored starch is there, that starch will be utilized by the plant. So that is the main purpose here. Now in one plant they are going to keep the potassium hydroxide. So that potassium hydroxide is going to absorb the available carbon dioxide. Okay. So this potassium hydroxide is kept in only one plant. And this both plants are covered with glass, and with the help of in the bottom and top it again covered by the help of Vaseline. Okay. And now it is being kept in the sunlight for the 2 hours. Now from that leaf is plucked from the both, and again similar activities being done what we have done earlier, like it is being boiled with water, again it is going to mix with the alcohol, again that beaker is going to be boiled indirectly with the help of boiling water until alcohol is not going to boil. Again it will take out from this, rinse off from this, again we are going to put the iodine solution. So all these activities we are going to see here like the earlier one. So finally, if you see that the plant in which potassium hydroxide was there, so that will not able to make the photosynthesis process. Okay, so that's why that part is not going to color being convert into the bluish. But another leaf in which potassium hydroxide is not there, so their green part is going to convert into the blue color. Okay, and this iodine solution will remain in the brown color. So that's why it shows that carbon dioxide is essential, okay, for the photosynthesis process. So now it is suggested that you can design some any activity where you can show that sunlight is also important for the photosynthesis. So plants, how they are going to obtain the water, so they're getting from the soil, from the roots in the terrestrial plants, and other materials like they're going to obtain even nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and magnesium from the soil. And here nitrogen is very, very important. Okay, elements. So since it is going to synthesize the proteins and other compounds. So these are the nitrogen is taken from where? From the inorganic nitrates or nitrites. And this is being prepared by the bacteria from the atmospheric nitrogen, so that you know about the pulses and all. Okay. So there we have discussion how it is going to convert atmospheric nitrogen into the nitrites. Okay, that was discussion separate. So now, so far we have seen about autotrophic nutrition. Now we are going to see heterotrophic nutrition. So in case of heterotrophic nutrition, so it has some complex system. It is going to use some organic substance. So that's why that process is also going to be little different. Now, if we'll talk about, we have herbivorous, omnivorous, carnivorous. Okay, so they're having different nutrition systems, or they have different strategy to obtain the food. Okay, like if you see that we have deer that is going to take the grass, cow is going to get the grass, lion is going to eat some Others like it is the sometimes if you get the fresh meat, okay, that different animals. So that depends upon the again food habit. And another things like we have fungi and like bread modules, yeast and mushrooms, they will have breakdown of that food materials outside the body, then they are going to absorb. Okay, first they will break down their food material outside the body itself. After that, it is going to absorb. Whereas if you see that like we human, first we take the food, after that digestion all takes place. Okay. And some another animals, that is the parasitics, so they are often able to obtain the food without killing the others. Okay, so that is called as the parasitic. So like for example, we have plant Kaskuta or amber bale that is lying on another big plant and they used to get the food. And we will have leeches, it is available with animals. Okay, and tape barbs also it's available in human body. So without disturbing others, without killing any other animals, they are able to get the food. Now we are seeing how do organisms obtain their nutrition. If nutrition is there, food is there, how they are going to obtain. So here they have discussion about single cell organism that is called as the amoeba. So amoeba is going to take the food. How you see that here in the left side, here food particle is available. So finally they have food vacuole, that is the finger-like structures. Okay, that is going to trap the food. And finally, inside the food vacuole, this complex substance will be broken into simple substance and which can diffuse into the cytoplasm. And undigested materials are moved out from the surface of the cell and thrown out. So it has very easy process. Okay. And some other like it can amoeba can form this food vascular structure in the different shapes in different places in different parts of the body. But whereas in case of paramecium, it is also unicellular organism, but it's having its cell having different shape where food is taken in that particular specific spot only, and food is moved to this spot by movement of cilia, okay, which covers the entire surface of the cell. So that is happening in case of paramecium. It has separate fixed spot where food is being taken by the help of cilia, and the cilia is going to cover the entire cell. So this was about the unicellular. So now we are interested in case of human beings. So if you see that in case of like we have in case of some animals which herbivorous, so that having a different digestion tract, or we'll see later that how their small intestine is the larger, or the animals which are the carnivorous, that digestion of meat is easy, so that a small intestine is the smaller. So that all we are going to see here. So that finally, any doubt is there, you can write in the comment box. So हम लोग पहले खाते हैं तो डाइजेशन कहाँ से स्टार्ट होता है? Even digestion start in the mouth with the saliva. Okay, so that various regions are there. So as per that, for different functioning of digestion will takes place in different animals and human beings here. So now this is the showing that one small activities here about this starch and saliva, all these things. Okay, so if you put the saliva, whether digestion will takes place fast. If you put without the saliva, what is going to happen? So that things are going to show here. So what is the activity here? 1 ml of starch solution in 2 test tube, test A and B. And now we are going to add 1 ml of saliva to the one test tube A and leave the test tube B without any saliva for the 20 to 30 minutes. Now we are going to add the few drops of the iodine solution in the test tubes. So what you are going to observe here, okay, in which test tube color is going to change. So since we have seen earlier that due to the iodine solution, that is starch, will change into the bluish color. So what does that indicate about the presence or absence of starch? And what does this tell about the action of saliva on the starch? So when we are going to add the saliva, so that the starch will be broken into the simplest substance, okay? So that presence of starch will not be there directly, but in which we are not didn't make the saliva. So in that starch will be available. Finally, color is going to change. So finally, here we have any doubt is there means okay, you can write in the comment box or you can break this lecture again in the two parts. Okay. So now in case of human beings, so that crushing of the food occurs in the mouth with help of teeth, and there again it is going to mix with some salivas in the mouth itself. And after that, it is going to be lining of the canal, which is the soft, and food is being wetted, uh, and is going to provide the passage smoothly. So whenever we are eating anything, our mouth is going to produce some saliva. So that is the, sometimes we'll feel that it is like water, but it is not water. What is this? This is the saliva. This saliva is coming from where? Salivary glands. Okay. So again, it is being absorbed from the alimentary canals and is going to break that into a smaller molecules. So in case of our human beings, our mouth, and with the help of that teeth and saliva, we are going to make the digestion easier. So finally here, this saliva having some enzymes that is also called as the biological catalyst, so that these enzymes are going to help in the food digestion. Okay. So this is the saliva which contains the enzyme is also called as the salivary amylase. So finally, these are the MCQ questions. So that food is going to mix through with saliva and again is going to move after chewing by the muscular tongue, it is going to enter into the big food canal. Okay. So here you see that mouth part. Okay, we have tongue. After that, now finally, what is going to happen here? After mouth, that food is going where? It is going to pass to the stomach through the esophagus. Okay. So again, it has lining of the canals, muscles that contract rhythmically. So that having proper rhythms in that is going to contract, again is going to relax. So due to that, food is being pushed inside and in the forward. So that movement takes place even along the gut. So from the mouth, it is going to where? To the stomach with the help of food pipe. That food pipe is called as the esophagus. And stomach is the very large. And when we'll eat, जब हम लोग खाते हैं तो क्या होता है स्टोमक एक्सपेंड कर, जब हम लोग भूखे रहते हैं एक्सपेंड स्टोमक क्या होता है श्रिंक किया हुआ रहता है. So stomach क्या है? एक muscular walls है. So that is going to help the mixing the food thoroughly with the another digestive juice. So that juice are being secreted from the wall of the stomach. So that finally, this diagram is important here. Now food came from this canal to the stomach here, and you see that here this stomach part is connected to this. This is the pancreas. Here we have liver and we have gallbladders. So liver and gallbladders are going to help us in the bile duct, or it's going to produce that bile juice. And pancreas, you're going to provide the insulin that you know about. And this is small structure is going to be the small intestine. It's looking small, but is the folded parts. It is the lengthy. Okay, it is larger inside in compared to larger intestine. So digestion will be takes place up to the small intestine, and large intestine is just going to absorb the extra water from the waste which is being removed from the body, and finally through the anus it is going to come out. And here you are seeing the appendix, which is not useful. It is sometimes is going to be the dangerous. So that finally digestion in the stomach is taken care mainly by the which glands? Gastric glands, which is available in the wall of the stomachs. So this gastric glands is going to release the hydrochloric acids and protein that is having digestive enzyme that is called as protein digestive enzyme, what we call pepsin. Protein, P for protein, pepsin. So pepsin is the protein digestive enzyme and as well as mucus. So this is being produced by the gastric glands. So hydrochloric acids is have that this is the acidic in the nature. Okay. So finally, it is going to help in the action of the uh, pepsin, that is the protein digestive enzyme. And again, finally, this mucus protect the inner lining of the stomach. Otherwise, this acidic in the nature, so that acidic will damage the wall of the stomach. So that is protected with the help of mucus. Okay, or mucus. So these are things happening here in the stomach. And finally, or sometimes if you see that this, if HCl is going to increase, people having acidic in natures will have adult having acid formation will takes place. So they take the medicine called antacids in the early morning without taking any foods. So that amount of HCl also should not increase. So that exit of the food from the stomach, now it is being regulated by the sphincter muscles, okay, which release the small amounts into a small intestine. It's not going to push all together, a small amount. It is being sent where in the small intestine. Now food is where in a small intestine, and it is the longest alimentary canal. So that having a coiling like a structure is available, and this length of this small intestine depend upon the different food habits on the animals. So that herbivores will have lengthy one, like a cow, okay, and whereas the in case of carnivores, its size will be less, okay, shorter small intestine, since meat is easy to digest in compared to vegetarians in case of grass, okay. Sometimes maybe people will get surprised, but meat is easier to digest in compared to grass. So that is actually whatever like some leaf, whatever human is also eating, we are boiling, cooking, that much process we are taking. So that's why it's going to digest easily sometimes, okay. But that digestion, like in case of cow, if you see, so that cow is taking those grasses again, it is taking back in the mouth, again chewing. After that, digestion is going to take place, and it is being that cellulose, maltose, fructose, glucose, all these things is going to take place. So finally, in case of a small intestine, that complete digestion is going to take place for the carbohydrates, proteins, and the fats. So this from the liver and from the pancreas, they are going to get the different juice. Okay. So that is going to make it more alkaline by using the pancreatic enzymes, since it was the acidic due to HCl. And again, it's having bile juice from the livers. Okay. So this bile juice is going to help for the digestion of the fats. So the fats present in the intestine is in the form of globules, which makes it difficult enzyme to digest it. That's why bile juice is going to help it. So that bile salts, which is like salty in nature, so it's going to break that fats. Okay, that large globules is going to convert into the smaller globules. So that enzyme can work easily on this. So this is happening same like we have seen emulsification action of the soaps. So later already lecture is available. Okay, different separately where we have fast revision for the chapter 4 also in the playlist it is available. So like this here, digestion takes place for the carbohydrates, protein, and the fats. And this pancreas is going to give the pancreatic juice that is going to help with the enzymes like trypsin for the digestion of the protein. And again, we have lipases for the breaking down the emulsified fats. So complete digestion at last up to is going to take where in case of a small intestine. And these enzymes is going to help to convert this protein where into amino acids. And this complex carbohydrates are going to convert into glucose, and fat or fatty acids is going to convert into simpler glycerol. Okay. Or this fat is going to convert into fatty acids also, or in a smaller glycerol. So digested food is being absorbed by the wall of the intestine, and it has a inner lining like a finger-like projection. That projection is called as the villi. So villi is what? Finger-like projection where? In a small intestine. So due to this, it is going to help us to increase the surface area for the absorption. Okay. And from it is richly supplied to the blood vessels. Okay, whatever nutrient proteins. So from the with the help of blood vessel, it's going to reach the every cell of the body. And finally, cell is going to utilize that energy for their maintenance, for the building of the new tissue, for the repairing of the old tissues. All these things are being done. So this bili is very, very important. And finally, unabsorbed food is sent to the large intestine. So it is having wall which can absorb the water from this material, and the rest unabsorbed materials are removed from the body by the help of NS. So that exist of this material is regulated finally by the help of anal sphincter. Anal sphincter. So this is also important. So now they're talking that if this food is going to be attached, like in case of a small kid, so might we have realized in the childhood, that decay of teeth takes place. So that hardest substance of the body is what? Enamel, which is available in the teeth. So finally, when we are eating something and we are not brushing the teeth properly, so that softening of enamel takes place due to the effect of the bacteria. So that saliva is not going to reach there. So finally, that bacterial cells with the food particles going to stick on the teeth. So that going to form the dental plaque. Due to that, saliva is not able to reach there. So it's not going to able to neutralize that acidic. So that that acidic means it is going to, like suppose 6 point something or 5.7 in the teeth. So that's why sometimes we are going to use that is the toothpaste, which is alkaline in the nature, so that it can neutralize the acid. So if you're able to brush the teeth when we are going to the bed, so that is going to help us. Okay. Otherwise, if it will be untreated, so in the small child, it will form the pulp, and finally it have some inflammation and some infection is going to occur. So here we have seen the nutrition parts, okay, in the singular cell, in case of human beings, all these things we have seen. And later we'll have discussion about respiration, transportation, okay, and in the transportation itself, we'll see about the extraction also. So two more lecture is going to come for this chapter, okay. So any doubt is there in the write in the comment box, and your suggestion is there, please write there, okay. And like, share, subscribe. Thank you.